What's going on? Everybody's fragged out, swagged out, and you already know why I'm here. Today I'm going to discuss the actual last full bottle of EBK fragrances that I have. And it's actually the first one that I purchased, oddly enough. I waited to the end to do this one. So I went through all the other ones, did those reviews, and now I'm coming back to the first one, and that is Ruby and Vanilla Intense. This is kind of like their flagship fragrance, is the one that everyone kind of knows about, the one that has made the most noise as far as I can tell. And why I waited so long to do this review, pretty much because when I first started doing reviews, one of the first videos I ever did was my favorite vanilla fragrances, and this was in that list, and then I never bothered to come back to do one full video on the fragrance itself, but here we are. Closing out my EBK collection for now, anyway, is Ruby and Vanilla Intense. And what I found out recently, thanks to Greta, is that this fragrance is actually not the original. So, and it made sense. The Intense usually comes after original. There was a Ruby and Vanilla that has been discontinued since, and now you have Ruby and Vanilla Intense, and of course Ruby and Vanilla Oud, and there is Ruby and Vanilla Neroli, which I have not smelled, but it seems too light for what I like. But this Intense is what we're talking about today. So in here we have notes of Vanilla Absolute, Bergamot, Patchouli, Velvety Notes, Sicilian Mandarin, Ambergris, Almond, Guaiac wood. Not too many notes considering a lot of the fragrances I've been testing lately. So they at least they identify the ones that have the real roles in this fragrance. And in this fragrance, what they're trying to create is the feel of a very luxurious opera house, from all the ruby red polished finish on the furniture to the velvet carpet and velvet textures of the materials inside of the building. All luxury, all high end, and that's what you get with this bottle, with the presentation, and then ultimately with that fragrance. So you're gonna get a really big burst of citrus as soon as this opens. It's a citrus and vanilla, so that really just very simple, very nice, creamy, sweet vanilla, and a not so tart, more sweet leaning citrus, but very full body citrus. It doesn't just disappear into the background and let the vanilla take over. It is very present throughout the entire fragrance, and it's very strong. It projects, it's heavy. It's funny, the only thing that I've heard about this fragrance that's ever been in a negative light, it's how strong it is. And it's funny, you're always hearing people talk about at price point what they expect. They want projection, they want longevity, they want well, you get all of that here, and then you get so much of it that people are like, it's too much. So be careful what you wish for, because you will get it in this fragrance. It does not disappoint in any of those performance apartments, and this fragrance is just amazing. So you get that vanilla citrus burst in the opening, and it does last for a really long time. That Sicilian Mandarin and that bergamot working really well with that vanilla. None of them ever take over. They have a balance, but you do smell each one prominently. And so what I feel in this fragrance is there is this kind of dichotomy between airy, fresh notes versus creamier notes. And by that I mean you have that vanilla absolute, which creates this very creamy vanilla feel to me. But then you have those citrus notes, which can be sweeter or not so much sweeter, but they are sweet. And then they have a lighter citrusy feel to it. With that almond, you have that gourmand leaning sweetness almost, but it's creamy as well. But then you have that ambergris, which creates that fresher, musky, almost like feel to the fragrance. But then you have that Guaiac wood that balances everything out. The patchouli here is of the sweeter variety, so it's not very dark and earthy. It's a very nice patchouli. And then we have the velvety notes. So what are velvety notes? You know, there is no velvet note, but when you smell this, you understand what they mean. There's a smoothness, this luxurious, dense feel to it that's only broken up by some of those lighter notes of the citruses and the ambergris. But overall, is this creaminess to the fragrance that, again, the dance here is led by that citrus and that vanilla, and everything else plays a nice part in keeping it creamy at points, lighter at others, and that Guaiac wood balancing everything out very nicely. Doesn't get too woody, doesn't get too dark. It doesn't get overly creamy either. It's just a really good balance. And the projection, the performance, everything in those areas are off the charts. It's hard to find anything, and you can, obviously. But at this level of performance, again, all I hear when people are like, I don't like that fragrance or I can't handle it, is it's too strong. It projects too hard. It's way too much of a powerhouse fragrance. So if you're into that kind of thing, then you should definitely check this, especially if you love vanilla fragrances. But if you have a sensitive nose, if you get headaches, this could be a headache-inducing fragrance in terms of how strong that projection is, how it just blasts. It can fill a room. You can leave the room and people will know you were in that room. That's this kind of fragrance. Easily one of those fragrances that if you don't buy this many, it can be a signature fragrance. People will know you were there, and it's a great fragrance. Like unisex for sure. I think on the spectrum of feminine to masculine, it's in the middle. It may be one step off, closer to feminine, but still unisex across the board. You're not gonna wear this as a man, have anybody tell you that you smell like you're wearing a woman's perfume, unless they just don't know anything about perfume. And if you're a female, then you're safe. No one will ever imagine this is just a male perfume. But a great job blending these notes and making it feel like this creamy, vanillic luxury fragrance. I love it. EBK, you know, they're not in stores. They might have a couple of people across the world that sell for them, but other than that, they're not in stores. They're not at Macy's. They're not at Bergdorf. No matter how luxurious the store is, EBK is one of those enigmatic companies that you got to kind of find them through Instagram or Facebook and contact them through DM, and they will tell you what the fragrances are, what the notes are, and what the price points are. The first time I did it, I was not thrilled about the idea of going through that route. But after that, I do like the process now. It is one of those digital but personal kind of feels while you're doing the purchases. So I enjoy it now. Once you make the order, it comes from overseas and it gets here within 3 to 4 days typically. It's crazy how I get these fragrances faster than I get some of the fragrances that are US based. So all that to say this, I love this fragrance. If you have not checked it out, I suggest you do. Awesome performer, awesome fragrance. That's all I have for you today. If you've watched this long, thank you very much for watching. If you have something to add to any of the comments I've made and I've left something out, go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like it. And if you're not following, why not? Might as well go ahead and follow, because if you like this video, I have other ones you haven't seen properly, and I have way more content to bring to you as time progresses and more fragrances come in, and I still have all of these to go through, so stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching. I'm fragged out, swagged out, and I'm out.